Gemini, welcome to the realm of astrology. In this video, I'm going to break down the long-term energies in your chart, things like Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, etc. And the reason I did this video is because astrology does change day to day, moment to moment, yes, but there are certain themes that can stay with us for years, and that's because of these long-term energies, the outer planets. So my goal in this video is to break down those energies very briefly so that you can get an idea of what the underlying energies are for you. And now, before we get started, I also want you to know that I do daily horoscopes, weekly horoscopes, and monthly sun rising sign horoscopes, and you can watch all those on my YouTube channel. And I also request you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon before we get started. Okay, so Gemini, this chart is for a Gemini rising. So watch for your rising sign and then your sun sign, preference given to the rising sign. And say if you're, say, a 29-degree Gemini rising, right? Then a Cancer reading might just resonate more with you. So, and that's because the outer planets might change houses, and again, if you're someone with really large houses or really small houses, that might throw this reading off as well. So just keep that in mind, and this is a very basic overview of the long-term energies. So let's talk about what's happening, Gemini. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is Saturn. Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius. It has been here since December of 2020. Yes, it did go back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius in 2020, but it entered the sign of Aquarius in December of 2020 for good, which means it entered your ninth house, right? And Saturn in your ninth house. First, what is Saturn? Saturn is a planet of hard work, decisions, discipline, and Saturn puts things in order. So wherever it is transiting, in this case, your ninth house, it's going to put things in order, right? And Saturn transits can feel difficult, they can feel challenging, they can feel like I'm putting in so much work, but why? Where are my rewards? And usually the rewards with Saturn come in later. Right? It's not like immediate work and reward. No, Saturn is slow. The rewards come later. And Saturn will be in your ninth house till March of 2023. So for the next 2 years, I'm filming this in 2021 July. For the next 2 years, this is the area where Saturn will ask you to work hard. And the ninth house is the house of higher education, foreign travel, wisdom, knowledge, belief system, publishing. So these are the areas where you will be asked to work hard. Now, if Saturn was, say, in your 10th house, that would feel more than it does in the ninth house, because 10th house is the career. So when changes are happening in houses that define the very core of us, it feels more intense. But for you, Gemini, it's the ninth house. So it's more subtle. It's more about your beliefs. It's more about knowledge. It's more about wisdom. It's more about foreign travel and higher education. And that's going to be there till 2023. Now, before that, from December of 2017 to December 2017 to December 2020, Saturn was in the sign of Capricorn, which means your 8th house. And between those 3 years, it asked you to work hard and put things in order, connected to the 8th house, which is very intimate relationships, intimacy. The 8th house is also the house of investments and endings and beginnings and death and rebirth and catharsis and regeneration. It's also the house of hidden things, taboo things. So it could be any one of these things that Saturn put in order. It could be a complete transformation of sorts. It could be the ending of something, the beginning of something, an intimate relationship going through complete transformation, any of those things. And that was between 2017 and 2020. So that's that. Now I want to talk about a few aspects that Saturn's making and a few cycles that began because of Saturn. And the first thing I will speak about is the Saturn-Uranus square. Sorry about that. Saturn-Uranus, 90-degree angle. Now we are seeing this energy after 21 years, Gemini. So it's a long time, right? A long, long time. And this energy is asking us to embrace the new. It's asking us to get rid of the old that doesn't serve us, whether that's a habit, a thought pattern, a structure, an old way of being, living, thinking, anything. It's saying change, embrace the new. And this energy is also asking us to embrace our unique, authentic self. And it's an intense energy. It will feel stressful because these planets are squaring, and we'll feel this all of 2021, even in 2022, but more so in 2021. And for you, Gemini, it's highlighting your 9th and your 12th house. So this tug of war between the old and the new will be between your 9th and 12th, right? And 9th house is what I explained to you. It's your belief system, it's higher education, foreign travel, wisdom, knowledge, all those things. And what is the 12th house? The 12th house is where the past closes out. It's our subconscious mind. It's our spirituality. It's the connection to the divine. But it is also the house of drugs, delusions, deceptions, addictions, and lies. So for you, these two areas will be highlighted with the Saturn-Uranus square. Perhaps it could bring up foreign travel, for example. These are just examples. It could bring up foreign travel and say a spiritual practice, those two things can be highlighting, and through that friction between those two things, you might find your unique self, you might embrace the change, you might change and get rid of the old things. Or it could be that if you have an issue with drugs or addictions, it could really highlight that and ask you to resolve that, and in that change your belief system. So these are the two areas that will be highlighted for you. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Okay, now Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which technically in this chart lies in your 9th house. But look at 0 degrees of Aquarius, where that lies, and that's where you have the change. So they started a 20-year cycle and ended a 20-year cycle. And this new cycle for you, Gemini, began in your 9th house, right? 9th house is a lot of emphasis on your 9th house. Foreign travel, higher education, belief system, knowledge, wisdom, publishing, all that is 9th house stuff. So there was a new beginning in that area for you. And till 2023, you'll be setting the base for that. And Gemini, I want to mention that there's a lot of Aquarius energy, right? A lot of Aquarius energy. And you're an air sign, so is Aquarius, which means all this energy is trining your sign. It means it's very positive for you. Of course, this depends on your personal placements, but I'm speaking overall. If you're a Gemini with a lot of Capricorn as well, it may not feel very easy because Capricorn did go through a lot in the past 3 years. So just a basic overview. But in general, Saturn is trining your sign. Jupiter has re-entered the sign of Aquarius now. It is trining your sign as well. So that's positive, but let's not get into that. So that's the 20-year cycle that started for you in your 9th house, and you will build that for the next 2 years. And another thing I want to mention connected to Saturn is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Now, these met up at 22 degrees of Aquarius, right? And that makes it your 8th house. Now, check for 22 degrees of Aquarius where that lies for you, and that's where this new beginning happened. Now, this new beginning happened in Jan of 2020, and it will stay with us till 2053. And this new beginning changed our material reality in a very profound way. And for you, that was the 8th house. 8th house is intimate relationships. It is investments. It is taboo things, hidden things, rebirth, catharsis, healing, regeneration, endings, death, transformation. All that is 8th house stuff. It's a very profound change in your 8th house in Jan of 2020. So these are the 3-4 things connected to Saturn that I wanted to speak about. And now I will speak about Uranus, right? Now Uranus, okay, before we move on to Uranus, I should have mentioned this. Saturn spends about 28 to 30 years to hit the same spot again, which means when it finishes with a house, that base is kind of set for 28, 30 years, right? Because after 28, 30 years only, it will come back to the same house. So it's a slow-moving energy. But even slower is Uranus. Uranus is going to spend about 7 years in your 12th house. It'll be here till 2026. So that's a long time. And what does Uranus do and what does it want from you? First of all, Uranus is a planet that wants you to be your authentic self. More than anything else, that's what it wants. And for that reason, it will get rid of anything that prevents you from being your authentic self, or it will bring things into your life that will push you more towards being your authentic self. Now in your 12th house, that it is doing that connected to 12th house matters, through 12th house matters. What are the 12th house matters? Spirituality, connection to the divine. It's also the past coming to an end. It's also drugs, delusions, lies, deceptions, addictions. It's also the house of isolation and monasteries and hospitals and prisons. All that stuff is 12th house as well. But in the 12th house, what could be happening is, if there is a spiritual practice, say any spiritual practice that's going to help you find your authentic self, Uranus can bring that into your life. Now, these are just examples, right? It could be anything. Or if there is, say, an addiction you're going through, Uranus may get rid of it and say, hey, you need to come into your authentic self, and that's not serving you anymore. So that's how Uranus works, and this is what it is going to be doing in your 12th house, Gemini. And Uranus is a very unexpected and sudden energy. So all this, coming into your authentic self, things moving out of your life, things coming into your life can be quite sudden, in these 7 years, because that's Uranus. And now and Uranus it takes about 84 years to come back to the same spot, right? So it's extremely slow. So when you go through Uranus transiting a particular house or conjuncting a particular planet, you can say it's a once in a lifetime thing. It's a permanent thing. It's a permanent change. So that's Uranus. We've done Saturn, we've done Uranus. Now let's talk about Neptune. Now Neptune, Gemini, is in your 10th house. Your 10th house is Pisces, and it has been in the sign of Pisces since 2011, meaning your 10th house since 2011, and will be here for a few more years. And what is Neptune? Neptune can manifest in very distinct ways, two very distinct ways. Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's the planet that connects us to the higher realms. It's the planet of the subconscious, right? It's a very creative energy. It's the higher octave of Venus. But Neptune is also a planet that causes a lot of confusion, right? So this energy in your 10th house could manifest in two ways. 10th house is the house of business and career. So through your business, you might find a spiritual path. And that can happen, it can. Or it may cause immense confusion and lack of clarity connected to your business and career. So that's Neptune. And Neptune is very slow. It takes over 160 years to come back to this. Around 160. I can never remember for Neptune what the exact figure is, but it's about 160 years. So it's very slow. So, even if someone lives till 80 years, Neptune would have just traveled half the chart. So it's very rare to go through a Neptune transit. So that's Neptune for you, Gemini. Now let's talk about some more things. Let's talk about Pluto. Pluto is in your 8th house, and Pluto typically rules the sign of Scorpio, which is the 8th house. So it kind of rules the 8th house, if that makes sense. And Pluto is a very slow moving energy, 248 years to come back to the same spot. So if you go through a Pluto transit, it is very rare, right? It's very once in a lifetime. It's permanent. And Pluto is the planet of spiritual transformation. It's the planet that demands total transformation. It's a planet of death, of endings, of rebirth, of catharsis, of healing as well. And in your 8th house, before that, it has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008, right? And will be here for another 2-3 years. So meaning it has been in your 8th house since 2008 and will be for another 2-3 years. So that's a long time, 15-16 years, give or take. And in your 8th house, it is demanding total transformation to intimate relationships, investments, hidden things, occult things, taboo things. And the 8th house is Pluto ruled. It is transformation, it is death, it is catharsis, it is regeneration. So it's asking you to do all those things in a very intense way. So that's Pluto for you. And then I'm going to talk about Chiron. Chiron is here in your 11th house. Now, Chiron is a bittersweet energy, right? It's a planet that heals us, but how does it heal us? It says, I'm going to dig this wound deeper and deeper and deeper till you reach a point where you don't feel the pain anymore. And that's how Chiron heals you. So it's a very bittersweet healing wherever Chiron is. And for you, that's your 11th house. And that is the house of the groups that you belong to, the organizations that you're part of, the social circle that you have, not your close friends, but the social circle, the acquaintances. It's also the house of hopes, goals, and dreams, and the future, science, tech, and innovation as well. So in those areas, Chiron is healing you, but that healing feels bittersweet. It can feel very bitter also. And Chiron will be here for a few more years. So that's the energy that you're going through where Chiron is concerned. And I think I have covered, let me clean up the chart. I have covered most of the planets. I haven't covered Jupiter, right? Jupiter here. Now, Jupiter is a 1 year, it spends about 1 year in a sign, so 1 year in a house. Now, Jupiter is going to cross, it did enter the sign of Pisces on May 13th, 2021. Now it's retrograded back into Aquarius, as you can see. But now, let's say it's going to re-enter Pisces, and from 2021 to 2022, it is going to transit the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is your 10th house. And what does Jupiter bring? Jupiter brings gifts, rewards, lessons, healing. So in the next 1 year till 2021 to 2022, it is going to give you blessings, rewards, gifts, and even bring you lessons connected to your business and career. Okay, that's what it is going to do till 2022. And then from 22 to 23, it is going to transit your 11th house, meaning give you gifts and blessings connected to your social circle, acquaintances, the groups that you belong to, the organizations that you're a part of, your hopes, goals, and dreams, the future. And that's Jupiter. And Jupiter takes about 12 years to come back to the same spot. And for you, Gemini, this is important. So let's talk about this. For you, Gemini, Jupiter is going to cross your MC, right? This is the highest point in your chart, and it typically rules your career. It's going to cross over that, and this is happening after 12 years. So this could be a profound change in your career that happens. It's already started in May of 2020, but it's going to continue. And since this is squaring your ascendant, this could also bring about a change in who you are, your identity in some ways. And since this is squaring your house of legal relationships, this could bring about change in your business partnerships and marriage as well. And it is opposing your IC, so this can bring a healing or a change to your innermost core. This is your innermost core. Your home, your family, your foundation, those can change as well. So that's Jupiter. And another thing I want to mention about Saturn, and that's why I said Saturn, it just came to my mind right now, is that Saturn here in your 9th house is opposing your 3rd house, right? So this could bring a lot of intensity to your communication, to social media, writing, thinking, your mind, your immediate environment, your peer group, your siblings. It could be affecting that as well. Yeah. And it could be affecting your house of health and job as well, because it's squaring it. And I did mention the 12th house of spirituality, the past, closing out, drugs, illusions, addictions. So it's affecting all these areas, but primarily your 9th house, right? And to sum all that up, because I think I didn't say it very clearly, is that Saturn here in your 9th house is working on higher education, foreign travel, your belief system, knowledge, wisdom, publishing, but it is opposing your 3rd house. And this might ask you to work towards your communication, social media, writing, siblings, peer group, immediate environment, your mind. And since Saturn is squaring your 6th house, you could also be asked to work and make changes towards your health, job, day-to-day routine, diet, exercise. And it is also squaring your 12th house, meaning it can also bring about changes in your spirituality, in your subconscious mind, in closing out the past, in drugs, delusions, depression, addiction, lies, all those things as well can be asked to be worked on. So that's that, and I think we've covered all the planets. We have not covered the nodes, so I'll speak about that. And Gemini, the North Node is in your sign, and the South Node is in your opposite sign, in the sign of Sag. And what are the nodes? The nodes are karmic, right? They're nodes of the moon, they're karmic, and they have an 18.5-year cycle, meaning they come back to the same spot in 18.5 years. And the North Node is an activator of sorts, karmic activator. It energizes things as well. And in your first house, Gemini, it is karmically activating and energizing who you are, your identity. It could even be your appearances, your leadership even, if you're in a leadership position. And in your 7th house, the South Node is a karmic cleanup, you can say. And in your 7th house, it is doing a karmic cleanup of sorts connected to your marriage, your business partnerships and legal relationships. And think between 2001 and 2003, certain themes might be coming back from that time. And that's because the nodes were in the same position back then. So these are the areas that the nodes are highlighting. Now, Gemini, since the North Node is in your sign, if the North Node is hitting a lot of planets for you, then it is going to be activating those planets karmically. Now, I cannot tell you what that karma is. I can just tell you that it will activate that karma. So that's the nodes, and this will go on till next year, 2022. And after that, the nodes are going to enter your 12th and 6th house. And in your 12th and 6th house, the North Node is going to be energizing and karmically activating your spirituality, your subconscious mind, your connection to the divine, closing out the past. And if drugs, delusions, addictions, lies, depression apply to you, then those as well. And in your 6th house, the South Node is going to be karmically cleaning up things connected to your health, job, day-to-day routine, habits, nutrition, exercise, diet, all those things. And that's going to go on till at least 2023, even later, but this is till 2023. So that's the basic energy of your chart, Gemini. Now, I am going to say that when the nodes cross over, when they change signs, you might feel a shift in who you are, because the North Node is going to cross your ascendant and karmically activate that as well. And these 4 points are connected. The ascendant, you, the topmost point, the MC, which is your career. This is your spouse, your business partners, and this is your innermost core. So when it crosses, right, which it will soon, you might feel a shift in all these areas, beginning with your identity, right? It could be that your identity change, a karmic identity change, causes a shift in your career, causes a shift in your business partners and marriage, which causes a shift in your innermost core. I just thought I'd mention that for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this reading, or it rather, more than enjoy, I hope it gave you some insights into what you might be going through. And again, if you have some big houses, some small houses, then that'll throw off the planets, right, where they are. So that'll change up the reading. So the best thing for you is to know where the planets are for you and then make sense of it. But this will be a basic overview. And again, if you're an N degree Gemini, then you might just want to watch a Cancer rising reading. That's all I'll say, and I hope you have a great day, Gemini. I will see you in one of my other videos. Bye.